Join me as I dive deep into the history books and challenge myself to uncover the real story behind the slave trade. The transatlantic slave trade is one of the most significant and horrific events in human history, with a profound impact on society that still resonates today. It's a topic that's often glossed over or sugar-coated, but it's essential we confront the brutal truth. Slavery raises fundamental questions about human morality and ethics. How could people justify treating others as property, depriving them of their dignity and freedom? The slave trade was a manifestation of unchecked greed, racism, and oppression, perpetuating a system that deemed certain human lives inferior. The psychological and emotional toll on enslaved people was immeasurable, with families torn apart, cultures erased, and identities shattered. The trauma inflicted on generations has had a lasting impact on communities, perpetuating systemic inequalities and social injustices. The moral decay wasn't limited to the slave owners. Entire societies and governments were complicit in this atrocity. The slave trade was a lucrative business, fueled by the demand for free labor and the pursuit of profit. It's essential we acknowledge the role of religious institutions, politicians, and ordinary citizens who either actively supported or silently condoned this brutal system. The silence of those who knew better is a stark reminder of the dangers of moral apathy and the importance of speaking out against injustice. As we delve deeper into this dark chapter, it's crucial we recognize the agency and resilience of enslaved people, who, despite being treated as commodities, continued to resist, rebel, and fight for their freedom. Their stories, though often erased from history books, are a testament to the human spirit and its capacity for hope, courage, and survival. We must honor their memories by acknowledging the injustices of the past and working towards a more equitable future. The slave trade was a complex web of supply and demand, with various players and interests involved. The European powers, particularly Portugal, Spain, Britain, France, and the Netherlands, exploited African kingdoms and tribal communities, often using manipulation, coercion, and violence to acquire slaves. The Middle Passage, a grueling journey across the Atlantic, was a death trap for countless Africans, with estimates suggesting between 15% to 20% of enslaved people perished en route. The economic engine driving this nightmare was the insatiable demand for sugar, tobacco, cotton, and other commodities, which fueled the growth of capitalism. The slave trade was also a catalyst for the development of modern capitalism, with the exploitation of enslaved people generating massive profits. The wealth generated from slavery was invested in infrastructure, industries, and institutions that still shape our world today. The legacy of slavery continues to influence global economic systems, perpetuating racial and social disparities. One key moment that changed public perception was the publication of Olaudah Equiano's autobiography in 1789. As a former slave who bought his freedom, Equiano's first-hand account of the Middle Passage and his experiences as an enslaved person humanized the atrocities, making it impossible for people to ignore the horrors of the slave trade. His book became a powerful tool in the abolitionist movement, galvanizing public opinion and influencing policymakers to take action. The abolitionist movement gained momentum, with prominent figures like William Wilberforce, Thomas Clarkson, and Harriet Beecher Stowe advocating for an end to the slave trade. The British Parliament's abolition of the slave trade in 1807 was a significant milestone, but it was only the beginning of a long and arduous journey towards emancipation. The fight for freedom and equality continued, with slaves in the United States, Haiti, and other countries rising up against their oppressors. In conclusion, the transatlantic slave trade is a painful reminder of humanity's capacity for cruelty and injustice. However, it also highlights the resilience and courage of enslaved people and the abolitionists who fought for their freedom. As we reflect on this dark chapter, we must acknowledge the lasting impact of slavery on modern society, from systemic racism to social and economic disparities. Thanks for watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic in the comments below. If you want to dive deeper into the history of slavery and its ongoing legacy, I recommend checking out my video on the Haitian Revolution, which will be linked in the description box.